Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the From the Stands podcast. We are coming back at you again with some more sports talk on this 27th day of February. Finally getting through these dog months of January and February. Recently talking to a couple guys from work, and we agreed that these 2 months are basically the suckiest months of the entire year. So we're almost done with them, thankfully. But these months haven't been without fun, though, for old Fezzy boy.
Sir.
What's new with you, Fez?
Not a whole lot. Finally did something fun this past weekend, though. My sister and 2 of her friends went to Winter Jam for her birthday. Got to watch Skillet, which was epic because I grew up on Skillet. Loved them to death. Still love them. I like their older music more. I was telling my sister when we were going, I was like, is this like one of our generation's classic rock bands now? Because I barely know any of their new music, just like all their old stuff from, oh boy, now you can say 10, 15 years ago. That's wild to say.
That's
But
pretty crazy.
but no, it was fun. It was kind of funny because they were the headliners. So it was like Micah Tyler and then New Song and then KB, Colton Dixon and Wilson and Smith. I can't remember. But I was just like, I don't know any of these songs. Like, obviously, some of like their big songs, I was like, oh, I know this one because, especially New Song, I was like, my mom played this stuff, and I was just like, what is going on? But no, it was a ton of fun. It got done kind of late, and then we went out to eat afterwards. But other than that, no,
Where'd
fun
you go
weekend.
afterwards? Where'd you go afterwards?
Carolina Ale House. It was the only
Okay.
place that was open at like 11:30.
Well, that's why I
at night.
asked. I was like, what do you go to Waffle House or something? Like, that's the prime time for a Waffle House.
Yeah,
But
dude, it was wild. We were like walking around and it was like nothing was open. Like not even like the bars around there were open. I was just like, dude, the Carolina Ale House, I think it was open till like 2, and I was like, wow, that's kind of wild.
wow,
But
that is pretty crazy.
when in the
Yeah.
South, I guess.
Yeah, I had a couple buddies actually that went to the concert as well. And it was just funny to hear them talk about it because they were saying that one of them actually left in the middle of Skillet, and the other one said that like he couldn't, like it was too loud for him. Like it was just way too
Oh,
loud.
really?
It's just so funny. But
Dang.
yeah, it's definitely a good band. So I heard you saw Jared there.
I
knew
did.
Jared was
Yeah.
gonna go.
Yeah, it was funny because we got there a little late because my sister got out of work late, and I was
Yeah, I
just
heard you
kind of like,
cut line.
yeah. So we're like, they went to the bathroom, and so I was like headed on my way to the back of the line, and all of a sudden I see like out of the corner of my eye someone waving at me, and I look over, it's Jared. He's just like, get over here, dude. I was like, heck yeah, brother, yes. So that definitely made the night a lot better too, because yeah, it would have sucked if we had to wait outside for so long just to get in. But yeah, I saw Jared. We didn't get to sit with him because we were kind of some of the later people getting there, so there weren't any like seats with like that many people like in a row that you could get. So, but yeah, it was cool to see Jared there, Jared and Mo.
Yeah, sounds like a solid time for sure. Winter Jam. I've heard that they've just got a really good, cool, I guess, business model, and they've been around for forever. I heard they actually started in Greenville, which I thought was interesting. So.
Yeah, they said that at the show. I was like, that's pretty cool. I did not know that.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm glad you had a great time at Winter Jam. I haven't gone to any concerts or anything, but I guess the only thing that's new in my life is that I'm going to be tearing down a wall in my house here pretty soon. So that's really the only
Fun.
exciting thing that it's going on in my life these last couple weeks. Yeah, we'll knock it down on Saturday. Saturday and Sunday really be most of the work days really. So it's going to be a long day on Saturday, but I'm looking forward to just knocking it out in like a weekend. So.
Are you and Peter
hopefully
starting
that'll
in
go-
the morning?
Yeah,
you
early.
You guys are gonna start in the morning, and then
Like 7, 8, just like be there like all day basically.
yeah.
We'll
I'm gonna
demo it
say
all and stuff.
I'm gonna be there. I should have told you this off pod, but I guess I'll tell you on pod. I'll be there. The people staying. That's another thing that's happening. We literally had Taylor's family this whole week, and then they just left this morning. And tomorrow we have you know them, Gina and
Yep.
Tim.
Yeah.
But they're staying with us because they have a wedding here. We won't see them very much, but they'll be in and out around here. But their wedding's at 4, so I'll be there on Saturday to help you lift that LVL up. Is it a double
Sounds good.
LVL?
Double
Is it?
LVL, baby.
Oh,
It's a lot
no.
of weight going up there, but those
Gonna
are right.
need a-
We're just gonna do it with me, Pete, and Joy before. So
Oh,
I-
you're gonna have
I-
Joy.
Yeah, it's just guiding it and stuff. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, there was a
Yeah,
couple guys that dropped out from helping me.
that sucks.
So
Yeah,
it's all good. It's fine.
scrubs.
But yeah,
Absolute scrubs.
it's all good though. So that'll be a fun time. But I was gonna say something else about that, but about Gina and Tim. Yeah, great people. That's really cool. I work with Gina's brother now, which is pretty
Yeah,
cool. So.
Jack works with you. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. But anyways, that's a little bit of an insight into our lives, kind of what's been going on. I know most of you guys probably listen to the podcast or friends of ours, so just kind of an update into our lives. But yeah, without further ado, we'll kind of hop right into. Actually, sorry, we have a shout out. Fez, you want to take the shout out here before we hop into the ONBA here?
Yeah, I hopped on the Spotify side of things to look at some analytics and comments, and we normally never have comments on the Spotify side of things.
Or shout outs.
Or shout outs at all. But just wanted to shout out, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, but it's Thornton Harrison.
Not that hard of a name.
So, but it's literally I would spell Thornton THORTON. There's a random N in between. So Thornton?
Oh my goodness.
If I'm butchering your name or if I'm making
it
way harder than it needs to be, I apologize. But he is an avid listener of the podcast. He commented a year ago when we were first getting started and said that he enjoyed the content, loved listening every week. And then he just commented this last week on our last episode about how he still listens to the podcast every time it comes out, loves the content. So we really appreciate you for sticking with us, because we were saying off pod before we got on here, like anybody that listened to us when we first started wouldn't have.
That was rough. Yeah,
it was rough between figuring
Not
out
that
the
we're
audio.
like so much better now, but we are a little bit. I like to think so.
The quality is so much better than when we started. Like we have some mic upgrades, software upgrades. You know, we've learned how to edit and figure things out a little bit better, but. Wasn't it like I don't want to go too long on this, but like, wasn't it like our second episode that literally like we recorded like an hour of it right before we had to go to soccer?
Yeah.
And it was like all muted. Like it was muted sound.
Like
you could tell what we were saying, but it was like, it sounded like we had our mouths covered the whole time.
Yeah.
We just looked at each other.
Yeah. The
like,
first few episodes, we were always like, we would be like, all right, we got to squeeze this in like 45 minutes to an hour. And then we'd like be fiddling with the mics for like half an hour, just trying to get it to work and stuff. Like, oh, what a time. So just to clarify, you would put the T in front of the N and say Thornton? Is that what we're doing?
Thornton.
Yeah, so the N's in the right spot.
Yeah, but I would say Thornton.
Okay,
like
gotcha.
Thornton. I don't know. I don't know too many Thorntons, so obviously I don't have any.
Well, Thornton, we appreciate you listening for sure.
Even though we butcher your name, we still appreciate you.
That's
we
just
hope you
Stallone. It's only
That's
Stallone
just me. I like to overthink names or can't even remember them.
It's all these European and whack names that you make me pronounce. Now you're overthinking the.
It's because I'm dyslexic and tongue-tied. What can I say? It's just bad. But anyways, I digress.
But yeah, without further ado, we'll kind of hop into the NBA segment here in basketball, NBA and college basketball, actually. First thing here, Fezzy Boy put this in the rundown here, but Coach Pop out for the remainder of the season. For those of you that are avid NBA fans, probably known for quite a while that he's been dealing with some health issues and everything. But yeah, he hasn't been with the team for a few weeks, if not months at this point. So not a huge surprise that he'll be out for the rest of the year. But yeah, so what do you think about this news here? How do you think it affects the Spurs not having a great season? Already have Wemby out for probably the rest of the year. Pretty solid trade getting De'Aaron Fox to join, but currently on the outside looking into the playoffs right now.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just a super unfortunate season. Like first they have Pop go out with a they call it a minor stroke that he's recovering from. He's just so old, man. Like I remember when he first went out with it.
People knocking on the door at 80, isn't he?
I know, dude. And a lot of people were saying, like, man, just like you've won everything you need to win. I'm pretty sure he's the coach with the most wins in the NBA. And everyone was just like, you got nothing else to prove. Just hang it up. Enjoy the rest of your life with your family. But obviously,
he's a lifer.
Yeah, obviously, once a coach, always a coach. I think in his statement that he released today announcing that he was going to be away, he said that he's going to work his way back with hopes to be able to coach in the future again. But yeah, just an unfortunate season for the Spurs heading into the second half of the season.
Yeah. I basically agree with most of that. I think maybe one of the reasons he might be trying to hang on, besides the fact that he's probably a lifer like a lot of the college coaches that we see, he may be trying to kind of prove that he could do it with a different squad. Like a lot of people thought that the reason for all those wins and all those championships was a product of a great team. Obviously, you had Ginobili and Parker and Duncan and David Robinson and all those guys that I guess the case could be made that they were carrying him to those titles, and it wasn't as much a product of his coaching. I think that's something that Steve Kerr suffers with a lot. So I think, I'm basically, since that core group of guys have left, they've been at the very, very bottom of the NBA for quite a long time. So maybe that's the reason he's trying to stick around, try to avenge some of those critics. But hopefully he'll be back next season and better than ever, ready to coach. But moving on here to a little bit of a game action here. Luka Doncic finally gearing up his play, his minutes, I guess, in his play for the Lakers. First game back against the Dallas Mavericks. This game was in LA. Boy, I can't wait for that one in Dallas. It's gonna be a fun one.
Wild stuff, man.
Luka has a triple-double, absolutely stuffing the stat line here. His stat line was 32 points. What do you have? 10 rebounds, something like that. No, sorry.
Like that, yeah.
No, I'm sorry. That was the Denver game. But he did have a triple double. I don't think it was quite 20 points, but he had like 15 rebounds, 12 assists, something like that. So he was absolutely going crazy. A little bit of a slow start for him, but the Lakers were ahead from the beginning and never really looked back. So that's just a solid win by the Lakers overall. Obviously, a game that you kind of expected Luka to do really well in. He said after the game himself that he wasn't able to really play as well as he wanted to and hit the shots that he did, but he actually had a couple 3-pointers that were taken away because his foot was out of the bounds or he just got fouled or whatever. So still a solid performance. What do you think about this first game against the Mavs coming back?
Yeah, I mean, everyone was expecting, I think like on ESPN Bets, I heard that Greeny was saying that he was at like 35 for like point total, and a lot of people had the over on that. Obviously didn't go over that, so not quite the scoring that you would expect, but like we were saying, he had a triple-double, 19, 15, and 12. Like that's right. Super impressive by like any standard, but it's going to take him a little bit. He's still getting his legs under him, so it'll be interesting to see when he gets back to like full consistency what he's able to do. But like you said, definitely circling that one at Dallas that's coming up here in the next few weeks for sure.
Yeah, definitely. You can already tell that he's making the other players in the Lakers look so much better than they did before.
Yeah, dude.
People were talking about LeBron being washed. He needs to retire basically this whole year. Now he's put up back-to-back 25-point games.
Crazy,
he's making
man.
Jackson Hayes and Rui Hachimura look like Derek Lively and like all those boys he had over the Mavericks. So just the way that he can pass guys open, like Austin Reeves getting, shots from, like, he's so wide open. He probably hasn't been this wide open since college. So just the passes he's able to make is really, really impressive. So you knew he wanted that revenge game, and he definitely let the Mavs bench know it after a couple of those threes. But the game right before this as well, against the Nuggets, that's the one that I kind of got the stats mixed up a little bit. Nuggets came into this game on an 8-game win streak. So obviously rolling, rolling the win totals up there with Jokic leading those boys. One small thing on the Nuggets here, obviously they got blown out in this game by 23 points, but Jokic basically doesn't play fourth quarters like almost at all. Like he gets his triple double in like the second quarter, gets his team up by enough to where they can just play their scrubs in the fourth quarter, and he sits the entire fourth quarter, which I think is just so crazy.
That's crazy,
He's
man.
on another level, bro.
Talk about load management to the max. That's just blowing teams out and being able to sit in the fourth quarter is crazy. Yeah, that's insane, man. He's so good. He's so good, and he doesn't give a crap about basketball. It's so funny.
He's incredible.
These stinking Europeans coming over, just not giving a crap about.
Can you imagine if they cared?
Dude, if they if they cared, man, I would. I mean, I remember when was it last year? Last year or 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago when shoot, Jokic. We were just talking about him. I can't believe I forgot his name again with the names. Um, when Jokic won MVP, and they were playing a team in the playoffs, and he had just been named MVP, and all of a sudden, like he wasn't having a really good series, but then he just turned it on. He went for like 45, like 12, and like 10. Like it was nuts.
Yeah.
Just like, hey, if I decide that I just want to show up today and play really hard, this is the stat line I'll get. He could easily, I honestly like average like 40 points without trying.
Probably. If he played fourth quarters, he probably would. But just the stat lines he's having, bro, without the fourth quarters, the plus minus stats are insane. Like as soon as he sits down for the Mavericks, they're basically like -10, like every time. But anyways, in this game specifically, wasn't to be for the Nuggets. Like I said, they got blown out. Luka Doncic 32, 10, and 7 stat line, so very, very solid for him. Good shooting night, kind of getting into the rhythm of things, finally playing over 30 minutes for the first time since Christmas. Like I said, just solid game all around. Starters all scoring over 20, except for Jackson Hayes. A little bit of bench help as well from Dorian Finney-Smith, just being that solid 3D guy as well. So, really good win by the Lakers. We'll see what they're about come playoff time. These games can, could mean a lot, could mean not very much when that's in the regular season. We'll see where they're at when they're a little bit closer to the playoffs here. But
what do you think their ceiling is? Like you personally, like how do you?
Well, when Luka first got traded, I think I said on the pod that they should be happy if they get to the second round. Like if they get jumped in, I think they'll get past the first round probably, depending on their matchup.
Right.
That's the thing with the seeding, dude. Like there's good teams like in technically the lower seeds too.
Right.
So it depends who they play in the first round. But I think that come playoff time, everybody's trying like 100%. The flaws are going to start to show because it's really just Luka. Like Austin Reeves is a good shooter. LeBron is still obviously a good player, but the last couple of years, at least in the playoffs, we've seen the wheels kind of fall off as far as his, his conditioning. So he's been load managing like crazy this season. So I don't know, maybe he'll be a little bit better this year. But I think probably second round, might be lucky and get to the Western Conference Finals, depending on their, depending
they
on
got
their
lucky
matchups.
2 years ago, right? Yeah, when the Nuggets won.
Yeah, right.
Nuggets
exactly.
Yeah.
We'll see, but I don't really see them getting to the finals like everybody is saying. This is the thing, bro. Like I said this when Luka first got traded. Like this is like ever since Luka got there, it's just more of an excuse to be on the Lakers PR train, the media just like pushing him so hard. Everybody loves Luka in the media now, which is where like before they were just trashing him left and right.
Yeah,
everybody
he was
loves
definitely
him
like
now.
a villain at Dallas. Like everyone was just like, "Oh
just
my
love
gosh,
to hate on him."
Yeah, like
just like this fat European that just keeps whining to the refs all the time. Now he's like generational MJ-esque type player.
Yeah, now everyone's defending him. Everyone's like, "Oh, he's really not that out of shape. The Dallas gave up on him." I was like,
exactly, because he's not. Did you see them before the game? Like,
yeah, exactly.
He looks fine.
But now everyone's coming out of the woodwork because he's with LA. Like, oh my gosh, like Luka's next up. Luka's the face of the league. This, that. It's like, dude, like, let's all remember. Let's keep receipts now. Like, let's remember who was crucifying him.
Exactly.
Like, last year, even when they were in the finals, everyone just couldn't wait to talk to like how Luka's not defending. Luka's the reason they got there in the first place.
Right.
The only reason they won, what was it, Game 4 to keep from being swept? Like, come
Big
on,
facts.
people, come on.
Yeah, and he was hurt that whole playoff series too. But anyways, I know this wasn't in the doc, but one of the big reasons that the Lakers, this was a big deal for the Lakers, is because they hadn't won against Denver in like 9 or 10 games. They kind of owned them in the playoffs too, for sure.
Yeah.
Like I think they kicked the Lakers out of the playoffs the last 2 years. So definitely some ownage going on by Jokic and the Nuggets. But I just wanted to touch on this. Doesn't have to be super long. But the MVP race, it's really kind of becoming a 2-horse race here between Jokic and SGA of the Thunder. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that really quick. I know you don't watch NBA like a ton, but figured you had some thoughts on the NBA MVP race.
Yeah, I did see that it was starting to be like more of like a 2-horse race. Like obviously they'll always have other candidates. I think Brunson's up there, Tatum's always floating around, and then like there's a group of players that's always like maybe them, maybe them. Some like your boy Cade Cunningham's kind of in the mix
Making
right
some
now.
noise, boy.
Again, this isn't in the doc, and we can talk about it after I kind of give my MVP spiel, I guess. But like they just beat the Celtics by 20 last night. Like
They're on
they're
like a 8-game win streak right now.
8-game win streak.
Detroit Pistons, bro.
They're rolling, dude. They're rolling. But no, yeah, like you said, it's definitely a two-horse race. I mean, like Shea's averaging over 30, having a really solid, and obviously number one in the West. The OKC Thunder is your OKC Thunder. It'll be interesting to see what they do the rest of the season. I don't see them, they were the number one seed last year, and then obviously ended up getting bounced by, was it Dallas last year?
Dallas in the second round. Yeah,
Luka bounced him out, but I don't know. I could see some people kind of having like Jokic fatigue. I know Embiid won it last year, but like still everyone's just I don't know.
robbed. That was
I don't
so
hear
robbed.
Jokic talk in the media, so I definitely feel like everyone's kind of like pushing it more towards Shea, which is kind of unfortunate. I wish we could just have like a unbiased opinion on it and just like strictly give the MVP based on like your actual performance and your stats that year, but that never happens. There's always a narrative. But if I had to choose, I would do Shea because he's leading a young group, OKC. Obviously he could have gotten a shout last year, but like Jokic and Embiid were playing out of their minds last year. So, but I would love to see it go to Shea, honestly. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree.
Whoa,
Even though
the
OKC,
European. Interesting.
OKC is my team. Obviously, I love Shea as a player. But when it comes down to the pure definition of most valuable, you can't. I mean, it's Jokic all the way. Like on the free throw, I guess you could call it narrative, but the free throw point that everybody that wants to lean on the side of Jokic is one. Honestly, that's very valid. Like on any
Yeah.
given night, Shea's free throws could be half of his points. Like, yeah, he's averaging 28, 30 points, whatever, but oftentimes he'll get at least 10, 12, 15 free throws a night, which is crazy. And he does foul bait. So that's just me being objective. Obviously a huge Thunder fan, but I would love to see him get it. That'd be awesome. The first MVP since Westbrook in like 2017 or something. But I'm giving it to Jokic, dude. Like I said, he only plays 3 quarters. He puts up triple doubles every single night. The second he steps off the floor, his team is in shambles, basically. So, yeah, I mean, there's the voter fatigue is one thing, but if he's legitimately the best player, like he only gets better too. He's won the MVP 3 times, and he's arguably having his best season of his career this year. So I'd give it to Jokic. But another thing that I wanted to mention, I know this is old news, this isn't from the season, but another thing about Jokic, and then we can move on to the next thing. Dude, that game against the U.S. last year, like they were toe to toe with the U.S. Like all those all-stars, all those first team all-pros, like the Avengers, the absolute Avengers, toe to toe with those boys. And then he stepped off the court for 2 minutes, and that's where they got their lead. And then they obviously never looked back. And like everybody like hypes up, like there's a documentary out by the U.S. now, like the Netflix documentary, and like rightfully so, whatever. But they were so close to losing to Jokic, and like that just shows how incredibly good he is. Like bunch of like Serbians, like Bogdan Bogdanovic was the only guy really that I really knew like on that Serbian team, and it was just Jokic. Like, but dude, I think that performance was insane. I don't know if you remember that or watched that, but I was like, this man is just on a different level. So
yeah, if they had anybody that was a little more competent than what the guy just said,
Bogdanovic,
Holy
yeah.
cow. Like I said,
dude, he was talking
just
trash, bro. He was going like
Holy
3 to his
cow,
dome
dude, yeah.
and everything,
He was hitting
bro.
the mellow with Melo right there. I think that I saw all
and
the
Melo
memes
appreciated it. I loved that too. Like
but I
he
saw
was
the
like,
memes afterwards
props,
where it was like
bro.
he's the reason they lost because like
Yeah.
Melo is one of like LeBron's like closest friends in the NBA. He's like, you could just disrespect my friend because LeBron went off like in that fourth quarter to like beat them, and it was just like, dude,
Curry
don't
went
poke
off
the bear.
too.
Dude,
Curry went nuclear.
I rewatched the finals of that Olympic gold medal game like every month, because that's like, dude, we're gonna tell our kids about that performance for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
But anyway, I'd give it to Jokic. Just to conclude that part here, you put this in here. I know you're a little bit of a closet Golden State fan for whatever reason. 6-1 with Butler, going back home now. All those games are on the road. Solid minutes from Quentin Post. I have no idea who that is.
Exactly.
But
that's right.
Curry and the boys, little revitalization here. I know that they're sitting in the last play-in spot right now, which is pretty pathetic by their standards. But Jimmy Butler giving them a little bit of a lift here.
Yeah, he's getting the Butler bump, as someone coined it on Get Up yesterday. But no, I think Butler is like the perfect complement to Curry. He's a little different than Klay Thompson, who was another just 3-point shooter. Obviously, Klay, back before his injury, could get drive, and he threw it down a couple times when he was younger. But I don't know. Quentin Post I put in there because he's kind of like, I don't know, the Warriors always pull these random dudes, like they draft these random dudes or pull these older players that had good college careers just like off of other rosters that don't want them. I just saw Kevin Knox is playing for them, and he had kind of like some big minutes in their game.
He's a good college player.
Yeah, the other night, out of Kentucky. So they're just getting good numbers and good minutes from like their bench, from everybody around. So it was really I'm just interested to see what they can do with Butler, because Butler's always made every team that he's gotten to like so much better. I mean, he took the Miami Heat the past 4 years to 2 finals basically on his back. When he was with the Timberwolves, he took them to a few playoff series wins, and Philadelphia was nothing until they got him, and then they're nothing now that he's left. So it's just kind of,
they're so bad. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, obviously he's older, so he's not going to be as good as what he did when he was younger. But I'm just interested to see that like they're playing with some extra motivation now. Obviously, you got Draymond just mouthing off on TV saying they're going to win a championship, so I guess they got to back that up now. But again, I guess they kind of know what they're doing, being 5-time champs.
Four,
yeah.
Yeah,
Curry has 4, so
he has the same amount as LeBron.
I know. If you got one more, that'd be some discussion. Some
Yeah,
discussions would be happening, especially getting another one without KD. Because for the longest time, everyone was like, "Oh, Curry got one without KD," but then they couldn't get the other 2 with it or without him.
He got one without KD against Boston a couple years back.
So he has 2, right? Because the first one they won.
He has 2 without him. Yeah.
Yeah, and then 2 with him, and so it'd be interesting if you got another one in past LeBron, but I digress. But that's gonna kind of do it for the NBA side of things. We're gonna take a look at some college hoops now. Obviously, with March, literally like a day away or a few days away. Kind of some March Madness heating up. We're gonna start off the top with a buzzer beater, making it feel like March. Sammy Boy and I were watching this last night, obviously not together, but when we saw this happen, Sam texted me like right away, and I was literally in the process of sending that text to the group chat when you sent it to me, and I was just like, let's go. Someone was watching that, but Michigan State.
Yeah, no one even responded to that, I don't think, in the group.
Like, what the frick? No, I mean, obviously I didn't expect you to, because you had just texted me directly, but I was just like, no one watching this? Like, does no one care? Holy cow. Yeah. But yeah, number 8 Michigan State playing number 16 Maryland. Really close contest. Both teams' offense was like kind of non-existent. That's kind of been Michigan State all year. Just their offense hasn't really been their bread and butter. But what has been is their defense, and they held a high-powered Maryland offense. I don't have the score in front of me, but they held them to their lowest points of the season. And then at the end, it took a 3/4 court buzzer beater to win it all, which I thought was super cool, because the player, again, his name, but the player, he had a turnover where he turned the ball over with like, oh boy, it was like under 10 seconds left, and Maryland was able to get to tie the game, and then Michigan State went down, scored.
I think that was his name.
Holloman, something like, yeah, that's him. But he turned the ball over late, which almost lost him the game, and then he hit the buzzer beater at the end to kind of redeem himself. But dude, when I saw this, I was like watching it at the table, and we were like kind of playing a game, And I just like looked at it and I was like, dude, what just happened? Because I'm like, you always think that when they put it up, you're just like, dude, what if this goes in? And like when it actually happens, you're just like did that actually just happen? But
Yeah.
you watched this obviously because you texted me right after. What were you thinking, and what did you think of the game as a whole? Because I know we'll get into
Yeah.
it, but you have Michigan State kind of possibly going far in the tournament.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty high on them. So I watched the first few minutes of the game, then I had to go run an errand. So I missed most of the first half, but watched a good chunk of the second half. I did see that at halftime it was like 23-21. I was like, man, this is a low scoring game. This is defense or just them missing shots or something. But I did watch most of the second half. Really solid outing by Michigan State. Just overall playing really solidly. Maryland also missed some pretty big shots in there as well. Talking about the buzzer beater play specifically, they missed two jumpers there for a possibility to win on their end as well. I'm so confused nowadays by like this obsession with like it's a tie game and they're still chucking threes.
I
Like
know,
just
right?
take it to the basket, bro. Or like at least like try to drive and like settle for a mid range or something. Like you're just chucking like 35-foot 3-point bombs. I was like, what are you doing? But anyway, so they missed two of those, and there's just a lot of missing wide open shots for Maryland, which ultimately came back to bite him. But yeah, big time story for the Holloman guy. I think that was his only three he made all games. So that's
biggest
a
one.
pretty crazy stat by him for sure.
Yeah, definitely. No, dude, it just felt like March all over again. And I was just like, dude, that just got me so hyped for the tournament coming up. But
hold on, funny story about that. Like you were saying how you kind of like just reacted really strongly to it. Joy was in the living room and she was like kind of trying to talk to me. And like I was talking to her back, but like the last 15 seconds or so, I was kind of like locked in the TV.
Yeah.
And then like obviously I watched like the Maryland thing go down and then the full court heat or the half court heat or whatever. And I was like, oh, and like I like audibly said something. And then she just kind of like stopped talking and looked at the TV and she's like, you don't care about either one of these teams. I was like, yeah, I know, but did you see the half court shot?
But it's freaking basketball. Like, it's just sports, man. I don't think women understand that. Like, it doesn't have to be our teams. Obviously, when it is our teams, like, we care so much, like, that much more. But, like, dude, I'm up for, like, a good college basketball game between two good teams, which this was. Like, I mean, some people have Michigan State and Maryland, like, obviously not together, but, like, two dark horses in the tournament that could make like a Final Four run. They're doing that well this year. Obviously their current rankings don't really say that, but there's just so many good teams at the top. So it's really hard to rank like 1 through 20 in this entire thing. But speaking of another team that's ranked that's not doing too well, Iowa State loses to Sammy Boy's Oklahoma State.
Yes, sir.
We put this in the doc. This wasn't like a huge game of note other than the upset, but a few weeks ago, I kind of like talked like Tennessee fakers, Kentucky fakers, and Sammy Boy threw in there Iowa State, and I guess he saw something that I didn't see because I was riding high at Iowa State. But this might be like, I don't think they're on a losing streak, but this might be like they've dropped out of 5 games, like 3 games out of 5 or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
But yeah, what do you got to say about your Oklahoma State taking down Iowa State? Obviously, Big 12 is a power conference that like normally every year is the best conference in college basketball. This year, SEC, but still like anybody can win, anybody can lose.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously we're not very good this year. With this win, we're not pulled 500 on the season. I think we're like 6, maybe 7-10 in conference or something like that. So we're not very good this year, unfortunately. But obviously, like you said, anybody can beat anybody. We were ahead basically from the very, very beginning and never really looked back. We were ahead by basically 20 points most of the first half. Second half, we were holding strong, getting buckets down low, and kind of trying to not let them back into the game. They were missing a lot of shots as well. Obviously they, squeezed it within whatever it was 2, 3, 4, 5 points at the end there and made it look a lot closer than it was. But they were ahead really Oklahoma State was ahead by a lot most of the game and were able to hold on in the end, which is solid because we've been ahead in a lot of games against good teams this year, and we just kind of always like lose it in the second half and end up
Right.
losing. So it was good to hold on to one against Iowa State. And like I said, they just never showed up from the beginning. They were making their shots too late, and they just solid defense by us. Like we played really, really good defense, just really good hustle on both ends of the floor and everything. I think I was texting you about the possession error, bro. Like that rule just annoys me to no end because like
Yeah.
even like I think I understand it for the most part, but it's still so grayed out. Like I know that the possession arrow usually goes to the team that's on defense, so it's like there's a couple possession arrows like whatever I understand because we're on offense, whatever. But like then they would come down, they would miss a shot, there'd be a tie up, and then the possession arrow was Iowa State. I'm like, what are we doing here? This is the
Yeah.
stupidest thing of all time. Just have a jump ball. Like what are we? This possession arrow thing is so gay, but.
Yeah.
I was upset about that, but it didn't matter because we ended up coming all the way to the dub. Like you said, I think Iowa State are maybe not fakers, but I think they definitely have some holes and some liabilities that they need to shore up before the tournament here. This is their second loss in a row. A few weeks ago, they were on a 3-loss winning streak or a 3-loss streak against teams that they really should be beating, like Kansas State and Arizona. So I think they probably deserve to be ranked, but maybe not quite high as 9 or the top 5 like they were earlier this year. So
Yeah. Yeah, definitely it'd be interesting to see how they finish out the season in the Big 12, which is a huge factor coming into the end of the season. I just looked it up quick because I was interested why there is a possession arrow in college basketball. It says the alternating possession arrow rule went into effect in college basketball in 1981. League executives adopted the rule based on the belief that referees were not able to consistently ensure fair tosses, citing examples of games whose outcomes were effectively sealed by an inadequate toss. That's the dumbest load of crap I've ever heard, dude.
Sounds like an NCAA rule for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Like, oh yeah, we lost games because the toss was like a half an inch to one side and they won the, like, all right, just take care of the ball then. Like, that's so
I think we have better refs now, I hope, in the NCAA than we did in the 70s. So
right, like,
can we just bring it back? Like, so dumb.
I was going to say, and I can think of times where the possession arrow loses a team a game because they would have had a steal if it wasn't for, because like, that's the thing. If you have the possession arrow, like, you can just hold on to the ball and not let them rip it out and you just keep it. Like, even if you don't have a timeout,
so,
like,
yeah,
it's like a bailout. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And I just don't like just giving the ball to a team because like, oh, we had the possession. Like this, I don't know. But then it's
ridiculous.
like, it's a gray area because like I said, maybe I just don't understand the rule fully and I'm just going to get destroyed by people listening to this. But like, I looked it up like during the game and it's like the possession arrow is basically always with the defensive team.
Yeah.
But like explain how the possession arrow, like I said on that one play, like it's not like even just like, oh, it's a quick steal and they put up a quick shot. Like it was like a set play. Like they were like going whatever. They missed a shot, boom, tie up, and they still get the ball. Like it just doesn't make any sense to me. I thought there used to be like a foul situation in there where like the possession arrow could go one way or the other, but I don't.
Yeah.
Whatever. I just don't.
Yeah, like
get rid of it. Get rid of it.
Yeah, just get rid of it. It just sounds like it stays with one team, and it's just
stupid.
It's just a bailout petition. Get rid of the freaking possession arrow. But anyways, we're gonna keep it in the Big 12. This was kind of old news at this point, but I kind of want to get Sam's take on it very quickly. BYU propels into the AP poll. I think they're 25th currently after beating Arizona, who was 19 at the time, 96-95. But the controversy in this is with like under 15 seconds left, Richie Saunders drove to the basket, gets fouled, makes both free throws to win the game. But the foul in question was like, the commentators even said, they were like, this is not a foul at all. Right. Like, and you were saying the same thing, like you saw a bunch of stuff going around about it. So I just want to get your thoughts really quickly. Like, if you saw the play, like, was it a foul? And like, in my personal opinion, and I'm a slight BYU fan, so I loved seeing them win, especially beating Arizona, but like, shouldn't have been called. And this was one of those instances where it was like, yeah, the refs decided this game, like, totally.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't have much to add to that. I totally agree that It seems like Arizona got robbed out of a victory here. I was seeing a lot of noise online about how the refs completely decided the game and decided that BYU was going to win. Apparently, there were a lot of sketchy calls kind of down the stretch that were pretty questionable that went in favor of BYU, especially on that last one. They had no business calling that on Caleb Love. So, yeah, just a sad way to end a game, in the refs' hands once again. But not really sure what's going on with BYU, if they're in the refs' pockets or what. But I don't know. That was just egregious in my mind. So Arizona's kind of a weird team this year, but
Yeah.
they definitely deserve to win that one.
Yeah, really, really unfortunate. Helped BYU out a lot because they were kind of on the bubble side of things, and then I think this win propels them where they're pretty close. I think if they win like one or two more games in the Big 12, they'll be a lock and be in the field for the tournament for sure. But yeah, they're playing pretty good ball. They just took it to Arizona State the other night, which I actually, now that I think about it, I think that win puts them in the field, but I'm not totally sure. But yeah, it's all about playing your best ball at the end of the season, regardless of the refs, I guess. But just an instance where the refs really kind of screwed Arizona over. But that's kind of going to do it for the games and the top news in basketball. We're going to do something a little different that we haven't done before, kind of gearing up for the tournament coming up. We might do this every week or do this right before the tournament. I don't know. It depends on how this goes. But Sam and I are going to give you guys two teams each that we could see making a run. But this is kind of like teams that aren't chalky, teams that are outside like the top 4 to 5 to 6 ranked in the AP poll. Every year everyone picks sleepers. So we're just going to give you two of ours. I'll go first and start at the top with St. John's. I know they're ranked 7th, obviously getting some love from the national media right now. But growing up, I was a defensive player, and I know how like defense can really like help you. And I just love seeing St. John's with Rick Pitino playing like some hard-nosed defense. They're not a great offensive team by any means. They're not blowing anybody out of the gym. A lot of their games are close, but their defense is keeping them in and winning games for them. So I think defense can take you a long way with a national championship coach who knows how to get the best out of his players, who's been there, done that. I could just see them making the Final Four for sure. My last team out of the Big 12, kind of keeping it in that vein, Texas Tech. I know they just lost to Houston the other night, but they were missing 2 of their big-time scorers. Their defense is super, super good. Their offense is high-powered as well. They've been mowing teams over in the Big 12. They're one of Houston's only league losses so far. So I got the Red Raiders going really far in the tournament, but maybe possibly even making the Final Four as well.
Yeah, solid picks. I like both of those teams as well. My first pick is going to be Michigan State, even though they're pretty highly ranked as well, kind of like your St. John's pick. They are technically out of the top 5 or whatever your criteria was for this sleeper pick. Obviously, they have Tom Izzo, always going to do well in the tournament. But I'm pretty excited for the Spartans team this year with Izzo, just because I feel like for a few years now, he's obviously performed well in the tournament, but doesn't have like that top tier roster that's really able to make a lot of noise and get maybe to a championship game or even to a Final Four. But yeah, they moved the ball really, really well. That was evident in the Maryland game. Like I said, they need to hit more shots on a regular basis. They scored 58 points in that game, but they play really good defense. They have good size as well, so I can see them going pretty far in the tournament as well. And then my other one's going to be Clemson. Both of us kind of being closet Clemson fans because we're local, whatever. But they have a really, really strong roster again, obviously coming off that Elite Eight run from last year when they had PJ Hall. They replaced him with a really, really good player, maybe not quite a PJ Hall, but they got that big Russian guy, Victor, blanking on his last name, Lock-in or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
He plays really good defense, rebounds everything. Like every miss seems to come to him. He can shoot a little bit too. Like he can really, stretch the floor. They also got that another transfer named Zachary that they didn't really have before. So he, a little bit deeper as well. He obviously still got Ian Shufflin and the Hunter brothers. So they're just a really well-rounded team. Except for Locken, they don't have as much size as maybe some other teams do. But again, a team that knows how to move the ball. They know how to get their shots, and and they have some really dangerous scorers for sure. So I can see them going pretty far into the tournament once again.
Yeah, I'm really high on Clemson's coach too. He's really
Yeah,
savvy, knows what
exactly.
he's doing, super
Been there
smart.
forever, low key, since like 2009, 10, somewhere around there.
Yeah, you were saying that like Clemson's really good at like just sticking with coaches that they believe in. Like I mean, Dabo's been there for years. Clemson's soccer coach has been there forever too, and yeah, this guy's been there forever too. He is. Yeah. I told you this the other day, but he is in. His name's been floated around for the Indiana job, so it'd be a shame if he left Clemson. I know Indiana's kind of one of those blue blood programs that not a lot of people will turn down, but no, I
But
love
they're
your
bad
team,
now. Like even though they're
Indiana.
blue blood, like I haven't heard buzz about them in several years, to be
They're
honest. Like
so
they were,
bad.
I think they were okay last year, but that was like the first year in a long time.
Yeah, and this
But
year, yeah, they're not good at all. They had a couple surprising wins. Like I think they beat Purdue, and then who else in the Big Ten? They just beat another team in the Big Ten that they were like not supposed to, but they did. It was a ranked
yeah,
team as well,
Purdue, it was Purdue, 13th. They
but
actually beat Michigan State too. I remember that, even
that's
though
the other one. Yeah.
Michigan State's pretty high up in I think they're first in the Big Ten. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think their record is still solid, but they're like in the middle of the pack in the Big Ten. So,
Yeah, definitely for sure. But yeah, with the tournament coming up, we'd love to hear your guys sleepers and picks who you guys think is going to win the national championship, who's going to be in the Final Four. So if you could drop those in the comments down below, we'll take a look at those and we might even talk about them next week if we get a lot of comments coming in. But very quickly, as we end this segment, we're going to just touch on this game because we talked about it before, so we definitely have to bring it up again, even though the result isn't what we wanted. But the Four Nations hockey game, Sam and I were on the pod right as this game started. I did not finish the game. I saw who won, but I did watch it before I went to bed. But did you finish this game? And what are your feelings after this result?
yeah, I saw this game. I watched it go into overtime as well. I was like, all right, I'm invested now. I can't turn it off before overtime. So,
Yeah.
and overtimes are a little bit shorter than the normal period. So I was like, like I said, I'm invested. So, unfortunately, wasn't to be for the U.S. On the day. Lost in the championship game, obviously. I think it was 3-2. The final score was. So, unfortunate that the U.S. couldn't bring it home. Like I said during the pod, it looked like it was going to be a pretty big upset for us to not just win against Canada, but to win twice in 1 week would have been pretty unprecedented for us. But still, I think I was, I'm not a huge hockey fan, but I was just listening to a lot of what the announcers were saying and stuff. And apparently it's been years and years and years since the U.S. has really been, first of all, since there's been a tournament, best on best hockey. But it's been a while since the U.S. has really been able to say, all right, we can play on a level playing field with the Canadians, which sounds like it's a possibility now. So maybe we'll have to. Might be must see TV when the U.S. and the Canadians start playing again. So, but if anything else, the Chuck brothers are now cult heroes
Dude,
in the American society now. Just off that first game and the dub that we took against them in the first one. They're like on all kinds of I saw them on the Kelce's podcast. I listened to a little bit of that today. They're just blowing up everywhere. So it's cool to see them kind of thriving. So
yeah, give them the Medal of Honor. They should be at the White House right now, dude. Like, holy
Trump
cow.
called them, bro, before the game.
I did see that.
That was cool. But
yeah, super huge. Yeah, again, obviously not the result we wanted, but I mean, beating Canada twice in 1 week, that's something to be excited about. Didn't get them in this game. Took them overtime to beat us, so what can we say?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's gonna do it for the basketball and I guess / hockey part of the podcast. We're gonna move into some world football coming up next.
Hopping over the pond as we usually do over to England for the little Premier League talk here before we hop around to a couple other countries and then end up with the Champions League preview for the round of 16 matchups that have finally been announced. Starting off in the Premier League, pretty action-packed last week or so. There were games at the weekend as well as midweek because there's more cup games this coming weekend, so they had to kind of squeeze the league games in the middle of the week here. Not great outings for my Arsenal Gunners here. First, we started off with a 1-0 defeat against West Ham. Also had a red card, I would say controversial red card for Miles Lewis-Skelly. again, I don't know why the refs just hate Arsenal this year, but they're just like, oh, you guys got academy kids coming in trying to break through in the first team. Yeah, red card for all of them. So
Yeah,
um,
dude.
I don't understand why, but we're really, really suffering. Can't score again. Striker thing, just absolutely insane that we didn't buy one, that we don't have one. We can't even like promote an academy guy. We'll probably get a red card too, but like I don't know why we don't just like bump up a guy to play a striker that can actually shoot. We have Mikel Marino playing there, bro. A CDM. Arteta probably thought he cooked when he put him there like the first game, and he scored 2 goals against Leicester. Well, it's
Yeah.
been big old donuts in the 2 games since then. So
Yeah.
we had the loss on Saturday, and then Nottingham Forest yesterday. Just a boring game, a 0-0 draw against them. Obviously, a good team in the Champions League spots right now. Low-key hoping that they hold on to a Champions League spot, Nottingham Forest, but yeah, just can't put anything in the back of the net, bro. Like Odegaard doing his best work trying to set guys up for goals, and it's just not working right now. So we desperately need a striker, just somebody that can put the ball in the back of the net. But our Liverpool basically kind of running away with it at this point. It's 13 points right now. Arsenal do have a game in hand, but Liverpool actually tied against Aston Villa. That was 3 games ago, actually, but they ended up beating Wolves. And then one against Man City, and then one against Newcastle United. So 2-0 victories on the bounce for them. Man City was supposed to take a few points off of them, at least in my view. But again, Man City just against the top 6 this year, bro, non-existent for the citizens. So Liverpool, a pretty comfortable victory there. And against Newcastle United, like I said, 13-point advantage. I don't see it from here, dude. Like, we can't score. Liverpool doesn't look like they're slowing down. So might be wraps a little bit earlier this year than we've become accustomed to in the Premier League. Chelsea, I'm talking a little bit about them, and then maybe give your opinion about the title race in general here as well.
Yeah, I'll start with Chelsea, even though there's not too much good going on right now. We did stop a 3-game skid, beating bottom of the table Southampton 4-0. So if we weren't beating them, there was going to be some serious talks about what the heck's going on over there. Yeah,
Right.
but like, I mean, previously we dropped freaking 2 games to Brighton back to back, one in the FA, one in the Premier League, and then we lose like an absolute. Like, I was texting you during this game because I actually like turned it on Saturday morning to watch it, but Aston Villa was like we were right there in it, and then some scrub. I don't know why we don't spend money on a goalkeeper, but some scrub I've never seen before let Asensio just put some Weasley little ball past him, just squirted right through his hands, right under his body in the goal. And then obviously Asensio had a brace on the day to put us away. But I was just like, come on, guys. Like, what are we doing? Like you can get mad at the goalkeeper, but at the same time, like, our defense has to do something. Obviously our offense was not existent. We had the 1 goal on the day. We were high and flying like mid-season. I don't know what's changed. I mean, again, I talk about it all the time, but our manager like
figures you out.
The league figured us out, but our manager, like, back when we were like pushing for top of the table, we were like in second, like 5 points off Liverpool, like right before midway through the season, and everyone was like, how's it feel to like be pushing for a Premier League with a young squad? It's like, oh, we're not title contenders. And obviously he knew what we was talking about. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion that we stick with him because he obviously sees our deficiencies and knows that we're like really young still, not going to really
It's
push
his first year. There's be stupid to get rid of him.
But we're so helter-skelter with everything. Like, everyone's just like, oh, the manager's not doing good, we're going to get rid of him. But thankfully, it doesn't seem like we're going to. But great. I don't know if we start dropping some more games. But back to our winning ways, we have some no-name team in the UEFA Conference League coming up.
I was about to say, you can always hold on to that competition.
Yeah, we'll send our dubs. Well, maybe it's because we're sending our freaking Z squad over there. We're not even sending any of our starters just to, I don't know. But
even though the team you're playing is Copenhagen, so they're actually decent. I've actually heard of them.
Yeah, they're they're in the Champions League every once in a while, aren't they?
They are, pretty consistently.
But yeah, Chelsea right now sitting in that 5th spot. I think with the coefficient, the Premier League's gonna be one of those leagues that's gonna get an extra spot. So the fifth place will get into the Champions League, hopefully.
But even so, you're 1 point out of fourth and 2 out of third. So like, even though your form's kind of abysmal at this point, somehow you still have, everything to play for as far as the Champions League spots are concerned. So
yeah, but I mean, then we have Newcastle and Bournemouth right behind us, who you could say, oh, Newcastle kind of fell off a cliff here. Like they were like
they're
high
right
and
behind
flying.
y'all, sixth. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, they're like high and flying, but Bournemouth's the one I'm worried about because if they find their form again, because they were flying here for a while, they were tying with Liverpool, beating Nottingham Forest, beating Manchester City, stuff like that. So the two teams under us scare me a little bit, but in regards to the top of the league with Liverpool, yeah, it's done and dusted. The way they're playing is just, I mean, they toyed with Man City this past weekend, like absolutely toyed with them. I just don't see anybody catching them, and 13 points. That's real. Like you need Liverpool to stumble. Like Mo Salah has to get hurt, and they gotta have like their whole squad like die or something for them to lose.
We do have a game in hand, but yeah, even if we win, it's going to be at least 10 points. So,
but the game in hand's just 3 points. So if you think
that's
about
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Like that's still 10 points ahead of you guys, even if you win that game in hand. So.
Best case scenario, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I don't know. And Mo Salah's playing out of his mind. If he doesn't win the Ballon d'Or, I don't know who does. I don't know who would be Ballon d'Or worthy.
I'm so unimpressed by these Ballon d'Or candidates, dude.
I know,
like every year now,
spoiled.
I'm just like, Salah, really? Like he's gonna win a Ballon d'Or? Like whatever. But yeah. Anyways, just touching really quickly, just because you mentioned it, Chelsea, when they lost to Aston Villa. Huge fan of Marco Asensio, dude. Him and Rashford are kind of tearing it up right now.
I didn't know he was there
while they're on loan. Yeah, they loaned him out. So it's kind of funny, the memes I was seeing about Asensio. Like, he obviously used to play for Real Madrid, loaned for PSG. He's probably looking around like, why am I at Aston Villa right now? But I just remember, like, he would always come on and just, like, bang in a goal from, like, 30 yards, like, every single game.
Dude.
Like, he was a maestro at long shots. But I love to watch him play. But, yeah, we'll see how the Premier League kind of stacks up in these last few weeks here. Looks like it's, as far as the title is concerned, it's basically done and dusted, but we'll see how those Champions League spots kind of iron out at the end here. Hopping over to Spain for a little Copa del Rey talk. The Cup in Spain, this is obviously not my finals going on. Real Madrid 1-0 winners over Sociedad. So those head into the second leg with a little bit of an advantage there.
Yeah, money.
Living up to the billing. Barcelona, Atletico Madrid. Absolutely insane game. I didn't watch all of it. I watched the first half. I saw Atletico go up 2-0 inside 10 minutes, and I was like, it could be like 5-6-0 on the day for these boys. Definitely not what I was thinking here. Barcelona scored 4 unanswered goals to bring it to 4-2 in the 75th minute. And then Atletico Madrid, 2 late goals by Marcos Llorente and Alexander to bring the final scoreline to 4-4. Did you watch this game at all? I definitely had it on, mainly in the first half, and then I watched the last 10 minutes or so when I saw that they scored a goal to go 4-3. So what do you guys say about this game as the old closet Barca fan here?
Yeah, I was watching it a little bit. I was watching it at work, so I wasn't able to pay a lot of attention to it, and then I turned it off, and then I saw who won, and I was like, holy cow, like, I need to watch the highlights. So I ended up watching the highlights. We actually went down.
No one won.
Yeah, we actually went down like 2 goals in the first 6 minutes. I was like, holy cow, this is going to be a long game. Then we bagged 4 goals just like to run it up. 74th minute is our last goal. Robert Lewandowski obviously scores a bit of a poacher's goal, but like, I was like, okay, we definitely have that. And then 84th and then 93rd minute, like, just giving away, just like, you got to finish the game off. But with that being said, dude, like, this was a game, like you always see those memes after like these games where it's like a moment of silence for all those people who didn't get to watch this game today. And I was just like, I feel that, like, dude, 8 goals total, just big La Liga giants going at it. I was just like, man, that was like watching the highlights, dude. I was like, that was a fun game to watch for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Who do you got going through?
Ooh, that's
second
hard
leg here, going back to Atleti.
I honestly didn't think Atleti was gonna give much, like, Barca like a run for their money. Like Barca was kind of like high and flying, I guess you could say. They've kind of cooled off a little bit, but I don't
A
know.
little
It's
bit.
really close to call. I mean, Atleti left it late. Like props to them for getting it. I feel like Barca maybe like played in their hands a little bit just because they had they had a 2-goal lead, which they say is the most dangerous lead in sports. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, dude. I can't really say. Just after seeing that, I was like, shoot, Atletico. Because going in this game, everyone was like, Atleti drilled defensively, like, stay in the low block, make it hard for Barca. But they came out, scored 2 goals right away. So, like, I don't know. They got some class with Griezmann. Obviously, they got Alvarez there. So, I don't know. I want to give Barca the edge, but that's not a bias. I'm just going to give them the edge because of their front three is like super lethal right now, like one of the
Yeah.
best front threes in all of European soccer right now. So
Yeah, I thought it was funny that 3 of their goals came from defenders. I've been
yeah,
using their guys, but
Kobarsi, is that his name? Got his
Kubarsi,
first.
he's a pretty good defender. I can see
Yeah, I
him being
like
good
him.
for a
He
long
got his
time.
first Barcelona goal, so that was cool to see.
Have you been seeing all the noise around Lamine Yamal being goalless for like 20 games in a row or something
Yeah,
crazy like
that's not
that?
good. That's not a good look right now. But
After all that hype, bro.
we do this every time. Like Ansu Fati, we did that with him. We are
He's
like,
still
oh,
only 18 though. Like he's
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
He
But we
bloomed
we
so early.
we crown these players because we're looking for the next Messi so badly that we crown anybody that shows any good form for the longest time that's like under the age of like 21. We're like, oh, we got the next one, and then all of a sudden they just fall off a cliff. Like, I mean, Ansu Fati, like he had stints at like Brighton this last like 2 years. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Honestly, I thought the hype around him was way too much at the Euros too, because like he was doing really, really well, obviously for his age and stuff, but he doesn't have a right foot. Like every time you see him like pass or shoot the ball, he's using his left.
Left
And like
foot, yeah.
obviously he can develop that. He's only freaking 18, 17, whatever he is. So obviously he's got all the time in the world to develop it. But I was just like,
Yeah,
all right, let's pump the brakes before we crown a guy. But
yeah, for
yeah,
real.
I actually think that Atletico Madrid is probably going to come away with the victory. They
Oh,
are so good at home. Like Diego
that's true.
Simeone's got those boys. I mean, that's a fortress for them, and the way that they play at home is crazy. I think they'll start fast again, like similar to the way that they did against Barcelona. I think it'll be close. I don't think it's going to be like 4-0 or anything crazy like that, like we thought
Right.
it was going to be after they scored 2 quick goals. Um, I think Barcelona definitely have the tools to be able to win if they can. I wouldn't be surprised if Barca won, but that's just my pick for that specific game. Hopping over to the Champions League now. The final round of 16, not final, round of 16 matchups have come out. Some of the bigger matchups we'll talk about here, we'll touch on just a little bit. Real Madrid versus Atletico Madrid, the old Madrid derby here. Or sorry, when Ronaldo was still playing for Real Madrid, I feel like they were knocking out Atletico Madrid basically every single year. It's kind of some ownage situation going on there. But the rivalry is renewed once again in the Champions League, which will be a really, really good matchup. Also have PSG and Liverpool, number one in France, going up against number one in England, 2 heavyweights. PSG obviously don't have quite the star power that they once had, but still bring a very solid squad coming off a 10-0 aggregate win against Brest in the previous round.
Wow.
And then another big time matchup here. Battle of the German teams, bro. 1 and 2 in Germany. Bayern versus Bayer. So all the Americans don't understand soccer can laugh at that, but 2 very good teams going at it. Recently just tied 0-0 in the league, so they will renew their rivalry once again for even bigger stakes in the Champions League here. Some of the other matchups, Dortmund against Lille. Dortmund heavily favored to go through there. Really favorable draw for them. Obviously not having a great time in the league, as we've said before, but probably could see them going through against Lille. PSV Arsenal, very favorable draw for us. I'm not going to jinx it and say, oh, yeah, we're going to go through because PSV, like I said before, solid team.
Yeah.
And I can see Arsenal choking against teams like this. But very favorable draw there. But we do have to play the winner of Real Madrid and Atletico, so we'll see about that. Club Bruges and Aston Villa, kind of a dark horse, I guess you could say. Villa probably the favorite there because Bruges squeaked in 24th place, upsetting Atalanta in the previous round. Inter Feyenoord, the other game there. Inter probably heavily favored in that one, even though Feyenoord have shown that they can pull an upset as well. And then Barcelona, Benfica. Benfica, I wouldn't scoff at them at all either, but Barcelona definitely favored to go through to the next round. So what do you got to say at least about the bigger matchups here, Real Madrid, PSG, and Bayern matchups here?
Yeah, the one I'm most interested in is Real Madrid Atleti, obviously the Madrid derby. It'll be interesting to see. Obviously, both of them top of the La Liga table. Well, I mean, Barcelona's in there. Barcelona and Real Madrid are tied with 54 points, and then Atletico Madrid in third with 53 points. So that La Liga race is definitely super, super close. So these teams aren't separated by very much. Obviously, you got to give the edge to Real Madrid. Like they're just Champions League winners. Like there's just this aura around them that they always
tournament.
do well in the Champions League. PSG Liverpool. Some people are saying PSG could be heating up right in time to maybe upset Liverpool. Obviously, Liverpool is on top of European football, currently winning the Premier League at the moment, and they were the top of the table in this new format in the Champions League for whatever that's worth. I mean, they just got the most points out of everybody, but they didn't play everybody, so it's kind of hard to gauge that way as well. But they're obviously high and flying. But PSG Dembele is playing really, really well at the moment, so it'll be interesting to see if he matches up on Trent's side or not. Even if he's up against Robertson, I think his pace is just going to give them problems, so they're going to have to figure that out. And then Bayern versus Bayer, they've played in the season, regular season, in their league to a stalemate. So definitely evenly matched. Bayern with a little bit more firepower, but I would choose their coach, Bayer's coach, over Bayern's coach Company, just based on like been there, done that. I think Company just came into like a good situation. I mean, perennial winners other than last year, Bayern, like they're always good. They have good players, so I don't really think he's as good of a coach as people might say. But I still give Bayern the edge just because I mean they're a been there, done that type of club.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, very excited for all these matchups really coming at us pretty fast next week. This is just around a 16. Like we still got quarterfinals, semis, all that. So plenty of Champions League matches remaining in this competition here. So very excited for those. We'll see how those kind of shake out. We'll definitely have results for you guys next week. But we'll see how those games end up and see how the leagues kind of shake out last couple months here, I guess you could say. Some of the leagues kind of look done and dusted, but there's always Champions League spots and stuff that are up for grabs. So, but yeah, that'll kind of conclude the soccer portion of the podcast here. Yeah, we'll get to wrapping it up with a little bit of football talk here right at the end. We just can't stay away from NFL football, even though there's absolutely zero games going on. For the foreseeable future, basically until August when the preseason starts up. There's still plenty to talk about in the NFL offseason here. Starting off with the Chiefs, just because there's quite a bit of buzz going on about their offseason moves so far. Big news coming down today that Travis Kelce will be returning. He said himself he does not want to go out like that, and I won't blame him. Getting blown out in the Super Bowl, you do not want that to be your last game. Even though you're in the Super Bowl, you don't want to get blown out. So can't have that. So he's going to come back. He's hoping to be, in his words, healthier than ever, and hopefully giving 100% to his team going forward. He still showed some signs of being, the old Kelce that we've been used to seeing, but usually those big games were on a little bit more rest than, back-to-back weeks or something like that. So what do you got to say about Kelce coming back just off the jump here? Thanks.
Yeah. Honestly, I never thought he was actually going to give it up. I think he was just playing out for dramatic effect. And obviously losing a Super Bowl like that and not really being able to help your team, like anybody that's played sports before understands that's a pretty low feeling to have, especially when, beforehand, you're like usually the reason that they win games and stuff like that. And also, he is getting older. He's not able to do the things he can do. Like,
I
didn't know. I've never been an elite athlete like that, but like, I know I have talked. Huh? What'd you say?
Yeah.
But I know how like you and I have talked off pod about like when we play soccer, like in our rec leagues, we're just like, we can't do the things we used to. And that's like a really crappy feeling. And so obviously I couldn't imagine being like at the tip top of your sport, being considered one of the best of all time and really feeling that feeling in that moment, especially in the Super Bowl, like how that can weigh on you and be a burden on you for sure. But cool to see him coming back. It'll be interesting to see how they use him. I know he's not, they kind of have to bring his replacement in at some point, whether they draft him this offseason or trade for someone. I mean, it's the Chiefs. They'll probably find a way to get like Brock Bowers or something in the next season or two, because that's just what they do. But had a really productive season. I mean, he had 97 receptions. That was 12th in the NFL. I mean, 823 yards. Yeah, usually he's more around the 1,000 mark, but still
Considered down
pretty
for
good
him.
season. All in all, productive. He had some big catches in the playoffs. But again, yeah, considered down. So yeah, I think it's just gonna be mentally, like, where's he gonna be? Like, he just has to come to terms with like, yeah, I'm not gonna be used like I used to. I can't move like I used to. I'm not the athlete I once was. But still cool to see that he'll be coming back to play for the Chiefs, even though, not a huge Chiefs fan, but kind of always kind of like Travis
Yeah, I
Kelce. I know
think
everyone gives him crap
before the
crap for his
back-to-back
girlfriend,
Super
but
Bowl
like,
titles
why are
and
you gonna do
dating
that? Like,
Taylor
can't
Swift,
blame
like
the guy.
everybody used to love him, just his personality and how he plays the game and stuff. But yeah, I'm excited that he's coming back as well. I think the wear and tear on his body, the last 2-3 years is no joke. Like the Chiefs have played more games than anyone else the last 2-3 years, just because they keep going to the Super Bowl. So it's gonna bring some wear and tear to the body, like I said. But I think part of the reason maybe he started off so slow was just because I don't think he maybe took the season as seriously. Because I feel like when you win back to back and you're like in the off season, you're dating Taylor Swift and you're doing all this stuff, like he maybe didn't take his conditioning and his prep work in the off season quite as seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool to see that he's committed to that once again, and being in his words in the best shape of his life when he comes back in the fall. So hopefully we get a rejuvenated Kelce, and kind of see what he could do in this next season. Because like you said, like I've always liked Kelce. Like before the dynasty and everything, I used to like watching Mahomes and Kelce just because it was backyard football. Like just off script, like just watching them work magic, like
Mm-hmm.
completely,
Right.
whatever. It was fun to watch. So we'll see what he's able to bring. Sticking with the Chiefs,
Yeah.
one of the biggest free agents. I just want to touch on this really quick. That was going to be available this year is Trey Smith, left guard for the Kansas City Chiefs. Thought he was going to be have a massive price tag on his head. Pretty surprising move by the Chiefs. They decided to tag him today, franchise tag him, which basically means that he's going to make the average salary of all the offensive linemen. Comes out to like 20 something million. Most people thought they were just going to let him walk or either trade him or something like that. But it looks like he might be staying there, which I think is huge for their offensive line, because obviously they have massive issues on the outside with their left and right tackles, but their front three are really some of the best guards and centers in the NFL with Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, and Joe Tooney. So big time get for them if he is able to come back and sign long term for them, and also kind of sucky for the rest of the league, not being able to not just get one of the best guards in the league, but being able to get somebody that's really good off the Chiefs. That would be helpful for the rest of the league, but unfortunately not to be. But also
Yeah.
moving on to a little bit of quarterback talk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if this is all just media buzz or what's going on, but Matthew Stafford might be on the move here. Rams talking about trading him possibly. A lot of potential destination articles I'm seeing floating around
Yeah,
here,
man.
mainly Steelers. Seeing some other teams pop up there, but what do you got to say about Matty Stafford possibly being on the move? He's like 37, I want to say, but still playing pretty good ball.
Yeah, I think he has 2 more years of like top end football left in him, and then obviously he'll start to decline. I mean, it could happen sooner. No one knows year to year. That's why it's kind of a interesting situation, because he is older. But I think Steelers should move heaven and earth for him, dude. Like, if we could get Matthew Stafford, man, and we could get like we didn't pay Russell Wilson anything. He's getting paid. He can go wherever he wants, still getting paid by Denver. Justin Fields is a good, I guess you could say, prospect, like just his talent wise, like his ceiling's like super, super high. If he can just figure out the, like, you know, accuracy and just being able to go through progressions and whatnot. But yeah, I would love to see Stafford with the Steelers. Obviously, it would be a bit of a shift, coming from Detroit, playing in a building, going to LA, playing in warm weather, to come in to the Northeast and playing in not so good weather on a nightly basis, especially in the fall when things get cold, would definitely be a shock. But I think an organization that's ready to win, I mean, we're always 500 or better, usually in the playoffs. I think Stafford just takes us to that next level. Like, if you think about this team last year, like the team we had last year with the defense that we had, even though it like fell off a cliff a little bit at the end of the season. But if we had Stafford, our offense instantly gets better. Someone who can just figure out our deficiencies on the offense. And then the defense will take care of itself. I mean, not saying we win a Super Bowl, but we definitely get past the first round, I believe. So I think we definitely should do everything we can to sign Stafford, and not get Rodgers. Like I said last week, I don't want him anywhere near anything, but I've seen some Raiders buzz for Stafford right now. And I actually, just before we hopped on the pod, I saw reports that they talked a deal, and they came to some common ground on a deal if Stafford were to leave.
I don't know why
LA.
any good player would want to come within 500 miles
stuff
of the Las Vegas Raiders. Just absolute trash dumpster fire of a franchise. Everybody that goes there basically just dies there because they suck every single year, basically. Max Crosby's basically in jail over there, just wasting his career away. I don't know. Again, I don't know why they would want to, why Stafford would want to go there, but I guess, it's up to the team where they trade him. I just don't understand some of these articles that are being like, oh yeah, potential destinations are going to be the Raiders, the Giants, just these trash teams. Like, why would he, like, I just don't think that Matthew Stafford's going to go somewhere and like just suck. Like, I feel like they're going to want to do right by him by trading him somewhere that's going to be decent. So some of the destinations that I was seeing was obviously the Steelers is one. I feel like the Steelers are always in quarterback talks now. Obviously, technically, you don't have a quarterback signed to the roster with Fields and Russell Wilson both having expiring contracts. I could also see the Miami Dolphins if they're wanting to maybe move on a little bit from Tua. But I think the whole thing is interesting with the Rams right now. Just moving off of Cooper Kupp, possibly trading Matthew Stafford as well. Maybe just trying to get younger in general, because like we keep saying, like they were a player or two away from getting to an NFC Championship game, maybe even going to the Super Bowl, playing the Commanders. So I'm not really sure why they would want to blow it up necessarily. Maybe usually these things kind of go in one or two ways. Like a team's doing really well, and they kind of decide to, semi blow it up by trading a couple of their big time players. It either works out really well for them, so they're able to get some really good assets, good players for them, or it just absolutely tanks and they just, they're bad for a really long time. And that move is seen like as something that, they sacrificed the Super Bowl run for something that didn't really work out. So interesting to see kind of their direction of the franchise. Obviously, they have a really, really good receiver in Puka Nacua.
Right.
But obviously they have a good defense as well, good young defense. But we'll see how the Rams are able to kind of adjust to that. I was seeing that if Stafford gets moved, the Rams automatically become one of the top destinations possibly for Aaron Rodgers if he doesn't go to the Steelers. So that would be really interesting. Obviously, as a Cali boy going to LA and possibly trying to revitalize that offense. And obviously they have Kyron Williams, who's, I've kind of forgot about him, really, really good back. If they're able to build through the draft with wide receivers, then if he's not awful, again, I don't think he's as bad as ever. Like, he's not Aaron Rodgers of old, but in the second half of the season, you look at his stats, you look at how he was able to spin the ball a little bit. There were shades of, a guy that's still able to play at his age. Is he first team all pro? No, but I don't think he's necessarily going to have to be that to get a team contending again if he has the right pieces around him. Jets in the second half of the season were also like checked out. So like, I don't think that was completely on him, but I understand. I mean, I wouldn't want him on my team, to be honest, but If he goes to the Rams, it might be interesting.
Yeah.
I had mentioned on pod or on to you off pod that he could go to the 49ers, and I think the 49ers are past the hill as far as their window is concerned. Like, didn't make the playoffs this year, but I mean, that's the team he always wanted to play for, and they still have a couple pieces. They're talking about having to trade Deebo Samuel and some other things, but if he wanted to just go play, his last couple seasons at his quote unquote hometown team just for kicks and giggles, even if they aren't super good, I could see maybe that happening as well if they want to move off Purdy, but they probably won't do that. So, yeah. Yeah. But,
Probably not. They're going to pay Purdy, probably. Would you pay
yeah,
Purdy over signing Rodgers?
I would. Rodgers is so old. You're going to get max a year out of him.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
And Purdy, even though I don't think he's an elevator, like he's not,
right.
a force multiplier. I mean, you have to go with the younger guy that still showed you that he can play versus a guy that you're going to get max a year off of. So, see, if you asked me that a year ago, I'd probably say Rodgers because
I mean, that's hard
the pieces around Purdy is probably going to be so different this year because like a year ago they were stacked basically at every position. If they had Rodgers in that Super Bowl against KC, they probably win. So, I mean, even though Purdy played well in that game, like I think Rodgers probably would have found a way to win that game. So, yeah. So
I mean, it was a coin toss.
That's a good question. But the last thing we'll touch on here, good old tush push of the Philadelphia Eagles. Play is coming into question. The Packers sent a letter to the league trying to ban the tush push. They talked about this a little bit last year, just kind of floating that around the league meetings and everything. Didn't quite get as much support as they thought, but apparently there's some serious consideration, some serious noise about the tush push being officially banned this coming season, which makes me as a Cowboys fan very excited. But what say you about the tush push possibly going away for this season?
Yeah, a lot of people I was listening to said that this isn't going to happen. The biggest concern is just the injuries, but the injury data doesn't suggest that it's a dangerous play for the most part. The most dangerous plays are the kickoff, and they still need to fix that because kickoffs are so boring. But anyways, that's not what we're talking about. It's the tush push. But like a lot of teams have adopted it. I mean, I know the Bills are running it, and I think their conversion percentage was even higher than the Eagles. So it is a bit of a nuanced and more skilled type of play than people want to give it credit for. I know it's not appealing to the eye. It's like, all right, everybody line up, get low, and we're just going to push a yard ahead to get this first down. But I mean, if it's effective, I mean, might as well. There's plenty of things in the NFL that are still kind of boring and nuanced, and people could say they want to do away with it, but like at the end of the day, it's like it's not like anybody else can't do it. It's more of a personnel thing. Like the Eagles they always have a good offensive line. They got a quarterback that can squat 600 pounds or more. So it's just like, it's really not just, I mean, that's why the Bills were so good at it. They had a decent offensive line, and they got Josh Allen, who's just a fullback playing quarterback. So I don't know. I think they should keep it unless it really starts getting ridiculous. Maybe take a look at it. But at the end of the day, it's just like, just don't let them get to the one.
I
play
hate
better
the play
defense,
so
I
much.
guess.
Like I just feel like it's dumb. Like a QB sneak is one thing. I hate every team that runs it.
It's just because they're
I hate
in
when
your
the Bills
division.
run it. I hate when every team runs it. I just think like a QB sneak is one thing. I can live with that. But the fact that they just put two fullbacks right behind the quarterback and then another running back behind them, and he did just push him forward, is such a gay play. Like it's just like, dude, like it's not creative. It's just we have more 300-pounders than you have, and we're gonna put all our meat on the field and just push forward. Like it's just, if you want to go play rugby, go play rugby. This is football. Like that's annoying. And then I just don't like that. Obviously, this is an Eagles thing, but like I still, obviously as a Cowboys fan, I feel like I would feel the same way otherwise. If there's, and I feel like it just takes all the mystery out of the game. Like if there's a play that's 4th and 3 or like a goal to go, like under 3 yards, what's gonna happen. And like, yeah, it's on the defense to like just be better, but like at the same time, it's like, what are you gonna do? And then like the whole thing that happened in the Commanders game, that was super annoying. Like they're trying to try different things to stop them, and you're gonna penalize them and be like, no, we're just gonna give a touchdown to the Eagles. That's stupid. Like I hated that too. So like, and then one last thing I was going to say
Yeah.
is like, I hope that they at least tweak it because to be honest, I don't really see them taking it away either. Just because I feel like it's just like, oh, this one team's really good at it, we're gonna take it away. It's stupid. But I just hope that they tweak it to where like, because every single time, like this isn't just the Eagles, but I see it on the Eagles the most because they run it the most. But like the Bills too, other teams, like the center's helmet is like beyond the ball when they snap it, which is a penalty. Like you can't be your helmet and your like face cannot be like beyond the ball when it's snapped. So like if they crack down on that and make it like a little bit, because that's what the Eagles do so well. Like all their guys get super late, they get like 6 inches off the ground, and then they're basically just like pushing like with their backs and like their legs to like get forward. And like obviously when your face mask and your helmet is already in front of the ball, you've basically already got a first down just because you're gonna fall forward like a yard or two. And it's just, I just feel like that's kind of cheating too. Like, whatever, if they don't ban it, but like at least get that out of it to where it's like at least the other team has a little bit of chance to try and stop it. But I hate the play in general. Like I hope they get rid of it and just whatever. But yeah, I just don't like. Other teams have been trying to adopt it a little bit more, but obviously the Eagles are by far the best at it. But yeah, whatever. I also don't think it would work as well if they didn't have a quarterback that's as hefty as Jalen Hurts, because he just runs like crazy. So
right. Yeah, like I couldn't see like I mean
they just run to the outside.
The Ravens don't have to do it because Lamar's so fast. He's a cheat code on. Yeah, he's a cheat code on the outside. The same with Jaden Daniels. Like, and
Mahomes
people with their frames would probably get hurt doing
like,
the
have you
push,
noticed
so
that?
It definitely caters more.
They
to
said
like,
that on a couple broadcasts that like Andy Reid never puts his quarterback in there.
Well, it's because if they don't get the first down, there's probably going to be a flag on the field that gives them 15 anyways. So, yeah, I know. I definitely don't like that.
Everybody's eased up a little bit,
more relaxed. They lost the Super Bowl,
but lost, which is just good. So
yeah, and they're probably about to rattle off like another 3 here coming up, so it's fine. We'll go right back to hating once they start doing that. Yeah, but anyways, I think that's a pod, Sammy. That is a pod. All right. We appreciate you guys for tuning in this week. Again, shout out to Thornton Harrison for listening. We'd appreciate if you guys check us out on all our platforms, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, like, comment, and subscribe. And we will catch you guys on the next one. All right. Peace.